Hi everybody, HFR President Ken Hines here with the HFR 500 March 2024 Performance Snapshot. March was an exciting month in hedge fund industry performance, a really exciting end to an exciting quarter after a pretty muted performance for financial markets in January. Strong trends emerged across equity, fixed income, and commodities in February, and those really continued through the month of March. The biggest thing that we had strong performance across all strategies, probably the most significant observation is that within the uncorrelated macro space, which includes both systematic macro and discretionary macro, categorically uncorrelated with other hedge fund strategies, we actually had the strongest performance, the leadership in the month of March, and for the whole first quarter. Not only was macro the leading area of strategy performance, but it was the strongest performance for macro strategies in over 20 years. Continuing from the previous slide, I'm showing you here the performance of the HFRI macro on a quarterly basis going back to inception of the index, and you see that the last time we had a quarterly performance that exceeded that which we saw in the first quarter, it was in 2003. So it's been over 20 years since we had a quarter of performance for macro hedge fund strategies as strong as what we saw in the first quarter. We're going to continue to talk about that. Here's the performance for hedge fund and crypto strategies in March of 2024. You can see the leading area of hedge fund performance strategy is the macro index. Although we saw strong performance from the cryptocurrency funds as well, I show it here as a little over 19%. So very strong gains from a very volatile area. And those of you that regularly watch these videos know that we do not include the cryptocurrency funds in the HFRI. So the next slide I'm going to show you actually talks about the hedge fund performance without the crypto slide there. This slide shows the hedge fund performance in March of 2024, and you can see the leading area of performance, HFR 500 macro, up over 4.2%. The overall composite, as you can see here, gained nearly 3%, 2.8% in the month of March. The second leading area of performance from a strategy standpoint was event-driven with a gain of about 2.6%. Very near that, equity hedge gain of 2.5%. And these all ahead of the performance of U.S. equities that we see here represented by Dow Jones Industrial Average at a little over 2%, and then 1.2% gain for fixed income based relative value arbitrage strategies. And this is significant because we know that equities had strong performance, particularly in the month of February, but those trends also continued in March. And we saw very strong performance in macro, and that performance was really driven by systematic trend following strategies, which saw strong performance across different asset types. So it was not all macro fund gain in cryptocurrency space. There was very strong performance across commodities, across fixed income, and across equities and currencies as well. We're going to talk next about the top sub-strategy area of performance in March. As I mentioned in the previous slide, this is the top sub-strategy performance for March of 2024. You can see here the leading area of sub-strategy performance is in the quantitative, systematic, trend-following strategies we have here, the HFR 500 Macro Systematic Diversified Index, which gained nearly 5% for the month of March. Similarly, we also had multi-strategy hedge funds in the equity hedge space gained nearly 5%. You see 493 here, 4.2% in the event-driven distressed restructuring index, and then nearly 4% in another multi-strategy index, the macro multi-strategy index, which includes both systematic and fundamental discretionary macro managers. And you can see all four of these strategy areas are well ahead of U.S. equities, as you see here, represented up a little more than 2% for the month of March. Continuing our review of performance, but now rather than just looking at March, we're looking at the entire first quarter, which is year to date through March. you can see that obviously the strongest area of performance across all strategies is the cryptocurrency strategies, which have gained more than 50% in the first quarter of the year. You can see that, and again, to my earlier comment, those strategies are not included in the standard HFRI indices, but they're separate. And then you can see here, macro is the leading area of performance. The next slide removes the cryptocurrency so we get a better view of the hedge fund strategy performance in the first quarter. Continuing from the previous slide, we have the top areas of hedge fund strategy performance now for the first quarter, and you can see the leading area is uncorrelated macro strategies, which gained 7.7%. This well ahead of U.S. equities here, which we see represented Dow Jones Industrial Average at 5.6%. We also had very strong performance in equity hedge and for the overall hedge fund industry in terms of the composite of all strategies, 5 1/3% for equity hedge, really very much in line with that of U.S. equity performance, and nearly 5% gain for the total composite, which includes all 4 strategy areas. And then even the less directional strategies were positive for the quarter, 2.2% for event-driven and 1.9% for fixed income-based relative value. But this is a very significant quarter for macro because, as I said earlier, the 7.7% is the strongest quarter of performance for macro strategies in over 20 years. So very exciting things going on in terms of uncorrelated macro strategy performance. Finally, we go one level deeper when looking at the first quarter performance, and now we're looking at the top areas of sub-strategy performance, not just strategy performance. And so again, starting point is certainly the hot area of growth. Cryptocurrency strategies up more than 50%. Once we move on from those, you can see that the HFRI macro 500 macro systematic diversified index gained 11.6% for the first quarter. Very strong performance really in all 3 months. The second leading area of sub-strategy performance is commodity-oriented strategies. In contrast to the systematic diversified, commodity is fundamental strategies that are trading commodities. These gained 10.9%. Equity hedge technology gained 10.1%, obviously a very strong performance in a quarter when we know that technology with the leadership of AI technology posted very strong gains. We have a gain of 8.75% for equity hedge multi-strategy, and again, all of these well ahead of the gain of U.S. equities of 5.6% for the first quarter. There's a lot of great information on our website regarding the investable HFRI 500, so please visit the website www.hfr.com. If you'd like to arrange a call, you can reach out to me, Ken Hines, or email hfri500@hfr.com to arrange a call. 2 things we want to make sure that you check out when you do go to the website. Certainly, if you're watching this video, you know that we do regular performance updates for the indices on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you have questions or other areas you'd like us to talk in greater detail about, we're always happy to do that. And then finally, be sure to visit and download the Investor Guidebook. There's a lot of great information here on the HFR 500 indices as well. So that's it for the month of March. Please look forward to hearing from you and look forward to speaking with you next month when we review April performance for the HFRI. Thank you. Talk next month.